All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. It's a beautiful new year. Welcome to 2023. I think this is my first time online live this year. How has the year been? How did you begin 2023? I am so excited about this new year. I hope you are too. All right, Christabel, are you in the house? If you are here, please let me know that you are here. My name is Maribeth Shima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. Okay, this is the Skill Up Show. The Skill Up Show is a show that we started sometime at the end of last year. The goal behind the Skill Up Show is to help parents empower their children. We want to empower our preteens, especially, our young children between after the ages of 6, our 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, the preteens, before they get to the full teenage. Yes, these are the children that we are targeting. These are the parents that we have this show for. But as I always add, it's not just for this group of parents, right? You could be a parent who already has a teenager and your teenager has some gaps, right, that you want to fill in. Then this show is for you. If you are a toddler parent, it simply means that, hi, I can see your name because you've not given us access, but it's good to have you. Hello, mentor mom. You're looking good, ma'am. Thank you very much. It's 2023. We are intentional about everything in 2023. We want to look good all the time. We want to don't mind me. All right. Thank you very much for the compliment. All right. So it's a beautiful new year, and we have to make the best of this year. Please, parents, we have to make the best of this year, especially when it comes to our children and our parenting. We need to come out this year with our A game. Okay, and that A game can be achieved when we decide from the beginning that it is a goal. And that's why we are talking about goals today. I mean, there's no better way to start the year, there's no better way to start any venture than to start it with goals. All right, are you here? Where are you joining me from? If you are joining me on YouTube, then I think you should copy the link and share. Yes, copy the link and share with your friends and your loved ones who need to be here today. Share the link with them. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's a good time to subscribe to the channel. Why don't you just go ahead and hit the subscribe button? And also remember to click on the finger like button, right? That helps you. I mean, okay, no, that's not the finger like one, the bell one that would remind you every time we go live. All right, if you are on Facebook, why don't you tag a friend that needs to be here right now? Christabel, can you tag as many people as possible? All right, we've not done this for over 3 weeks, so it's possible that we have all forgotten that the Skill Up Show takes place at this time on Mondays. All right, so tag someone who needs to be here, share the link with someone who needs to be here. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel in the past, why don't you go ahead and subscribe right away? All right, should I take a minute and tag others? All right, if Christabel is here, she'll go ahead and tag for us. Apart from that, I think we should just shoot. Okay, those who are not here can always catch the replay of the show. I am so excited about 2023, and I'm excited to be on your screen today. As I said, we do this every Monday at 1 p.m. and the goal is to help parents skill up their children. We want to give you tips basically that you can take and run with you. And it's a good thing, to practice these tips, in a week. Okay, consistency is very key. We say it's the mother of all learning. Repetition, right? So with repetition, you become consistent, isn't it? All right, so you can take these skills when we drop them on Monday and apply these skills in your parenting for the entire week. By the time you do that, you would see that you're making some progress, and then you can begin to incorporate it into your parenting generally. All right, so today we're talking about essential goals that you have to set as a parent with your children. Okay, the flyer says for your children. All right, now for your children, if your children are actually really young, right? If you're parents of an infant, parents of a toddler, all right, parents of really little children who cannot, have a say or cannot, contributes to the goals that you're setting around their lives. All right, you can go ahead and set these goals for your children. Okay, other than that, if you have older kids, then you should be setting goals with your children. Okay, if you have a plan, as we always have as parents, if you have plans as parents and your plans, you don't have a goal, then that plan is not exactly complete, because that's what a lot of us have. We you have conversations with parents and they say, oh, I know the plans that I have for my children. And then when you find out, when you sit down and you have conversations with these parents, these plans are usually, with most parents, the plans are usually vague, right? The plans are vague. The plans are not intentional. They're not measured. They don't hit a target. That's because there is no goal, right? The plans did not come from a goal, like a goal that has been taught, that has been thought through. Do you understand? A goal that you actually picked and you looked at it and you sat down to think it through. So usually parents just have general plans. And what's that plan? The plan is that I want to give my child a good education. When I give them a good education, some parents will say, okay, at the end of the day, I don't owe them nothing. After giving them a good education, I would just say to them, all right, go and chase your own life and find your own life. Other parents will be like, okay, give them an education. After giving them a good education, I'll probably just pay their house rent for the first 1 or 2 months, and all of that. Now these plans they are some sort of a plan, isn't it? But these plans are vague. There is no, they are vague. There is no process to this plan, right? There is no process to this plan. There's no laid down process to this plan. There is no, okay, this is what we'll do this year. This is what we'll do that year, and all of that. In many cases, apart from that education that these parents are talking about, I'm going to give them a good education. Apart from that, there isn't any concrete plan on ground to prepare these children for this plan that you have for them. Okay, where after they graduate, you will just tell them, all right, buddy, you can now go. There is no concrete plan on ground, or that you can pass the children through during the course of these years. You just know that, oh, my plan is that I will give them an education. After that, I will let them freedom to go and find their own lives. All right. So a plan without a goal, you don't have a destination where you are going to, is an incomplete plan, basically. Okay, it's not complete. Okay, and then some other parents would have goals. Okay, oh, my goal is to ensure that my goal is to ensure that by the time my children are 25 years old, they are able to take care of themselves. By the time my children are 28, they should be married. You have all of these goals, right? These goals, you have that goal, but you do not have a plan that will help your child reach that goal. So a plan or a goal without a plan is definitely just a wish. This is what you wish. You wish that by the time your child is a certain age, your child should be able to do this. By the time your child is at this age, the child should be able to do that. All right. But then again, what plan have you put in place to ensure that you walk towards that goal? So a goal without a plan is just a wish, and a plan without a goal is incomplete. Let me add this, right? That for you to know, we always talk about purpose. We talk about the fact that we were all created for a purpose. Each of us has a purpose for which we've been created. And so, of course, our children have purpose for which God has created them. But let me tell you something, that the purpose is not, it's not a destination that you'll be like, okay, by the time they get to a particular age, they would have reached that purpose. Okay, your child being able to lead a purpose-driven life, or you, as a matter of fact, living a purpose-driven life, okay, is dependent on the effort, the actions, the effort that you make every day. It is the actions that we take every day. It is the efforts that we make every day. It is the virtues that we put into play in our lives every day. It is the values that we live by every day. It is all of these things that will ultimately ensure that we are living a purpose-driven life. So yes, you cannot be parenting today, right? And you do not understand the importance of having goals and importance of creating a plan that will help you achieve that goal. And most importantly, that you have a process that will ultimately ensure that this goal is actualized. So yes, you need to have goals as parents. You need to have goals for yourself. You need to have goals for your children, right? And then you need to have a plan that will lead to the actualization of that goal. And there has to be a process through which you and your child will go through in order for you to actualize the goal. All right. Now, as a parent, you have a child that is old enough, a child that can understand the things that happen around their lives. Your child is not 2 months or 2 years, or your child is not 4. You have a child that is 7 and is beginning to understand. All right, that is becoming more aware of their. The child that is becoming more aware of their conscious states. Right. At 7, your child is beginning to act act from their consciousness, basically. So by the time your child is 7 and 8 and 10, okay, you have a child that is 7, 8, 10, and then in some cases even older children, and you have plans or goals, and these children are not a part of your goal or that plan that you have for them, then that on its own is flawed. That on its own is wrong. All right. So we say when your children are much younger, you can actually create those goals and create those plans and begin to walk through them. As you walk through them with your toddlers, you walk through them with your young children. All right. With time, they will begin to understand what it is that you are doing with them. How would that happen? It will only happen when you have a connection. It will happen when you begin to speak with your children about the plans that you have for them. So what are we saying? We're saying a plan without a goal is incomplete, isn't it? A goal without a plan is just a wish. What am I also saying? That every parent must have a goal. Yes, every parent must have a goal for their children, and that these goals must be followed through with a plan. And that if your child is old enough, then your child should be a part of that plan. If your child is old enough, your child should be brought to the point where your child understands these goals. Your child understands the reason behind the goals that you have set for them, and then your child believes in these goals. All right, because at some point, or in your plan that you have for them, because at some point your child would have to make these plans, or your child will have to take this and own it. Okay. It is okay that when they are young, that we have these plans or we have these goals for them. It is okay that we create them. It is okay that we work this plan first on our own, because our children are probably too young to understand it. But as our children grow older, we should be able to bring them into the system where they understand where we are going with them. Okay. Are able to share our vision with our children. And that is why, as a family, it is important that you have a vision as a family. So that right from when your children are young, your children know that as a family, there is what you are. There is a big picture for you as a family. So when your child grows into a system where there is a big vision or there's a big mission as a family, your child will grow into, understanding that life is about where you are going to. Your child is able to have their own vision, also personal vision, and their personal mission. That way it is moving from it being a collective thing, okay, eventually to the child owning it and becoming, taking a leap or borrowing a leap, right, from what it is that you have raised them with, from the values, right, from the values and the principles that you have raised them, and your child is able to own them. I always like to add that until we get to the point where the things that our children do move from being extrinsic to it being intrinsic, then the circle is not complete. So yes, as a parent or as parents, we have all these goals, we have all this plan for our children, we incorporate it in our everyday life, it becomes a part of our children. As they grow older, they begin to understand it and they begin to trust it and they believe in it. That way they are able to take it and own it. And then as they grow much older, they are able to take it and apply it in their own lives. When our children move from us being the ones that make it happen to them understanding, loving, and believing in it and pushing it on their own and making it happen on their own, that's where we say, oh, it has moved from us being the motivation behind what they do to that motivation being intrinsic. And that should be a goal for every parent. Okay, in everything that you do, your goal should be that at the end of the day, or as your children come to their full, as they come to the right age, okay, by the time they become teenagers and young adults, they already know, understand, okay, let's see. Okay, so good. So that they're able to take this and begin to run their own race or navigate the world on their own. So what have you done, or what have you done as a parent? As a parent, you have trained. As a parent, you have guided. As a parent, you have supported. As a parent, you have worked with your children to the point now that your child can take this and begin to navigate the world on their own. This should be the goal for every parent. This should be ultimately what each and every one of us is looking at as a parent as we go on this journey of intentional parenting. All right? So yes, if you are a parent in 2023 and you have not decided to be intentional, I beg you, intentional parenting or intentional parenting is not a club. Okay, it's not some sort of, I know some people look at it in a way like, oh, it's a movement. You can call it that, right? It's a movement. We want to raise, or we want to preach this gospel so that we have many more intentional parents out there, because we know how much of a gift this will be to every child, that we have parents who are intentional. Okay, so it's not some sort of a cult or something like that. It's simple. Be intentional. Be intentional about your health. Be intentional about your job. Be intentional. We're intentional about all these other things, and it's just okay. You're intentional about your career, isn't it? You're intentional about your career. You do all those personal development. You go for all of those courses. You go for those promotion exams. You do all of those things because you're intentional about your profession and where you're going to, isn't it? About your career and where you're going to. What we're saying is, why don't you take some of that intentionality and put it in your parenting, such that you're not winging parenting. You know your destination, you know where you're going to, you know what you want for your children, you know what you're working towards with your children or for your children. And as your children come of age, you're able to share this with them in a way that your children begin to understand and trust in what your vision, your goal, your plan for them is. And as they do, they can now own it, and then you will see that you are in sync. You are in tandem. You are together in your plan. And that will only happen if we have put all the things in place, right, to make our children believe and trust in the plans that we have for them. Very, very key. Now, I have said in 2023, if you have not decided to be intentional, then please, I need you to think about it seriously today. Okay, think about it seriously today to be intentional about parenting. This is the only way. I repeat, this is the only way that you will raise a child today that you can set that child apart, that you are intentional about every aspect of the child's life. You're intentional about how you are raising that child. This is the only way that you can set your child apart today. This is the only way that you can help empower, equip, and skill up that child for the child to navigate the present world that we live in. This is not the time that you say, oh, me, did they teach me anything? Did I not figure it out of my own? See, the world as it is right now, the distractions are too many. The distractions are too many. We're not saying hold your child and start dragging your child everywhere. What we're saying is, why don't you be intentional about everything that you do with your child? Intentional about the things that you say, intentional about the things that you do, intentional about the choices that you make, intentional about the way you live your everyday life, intentional about everything that concerns your child or everything that your child would get to learn and see from you because they share the same environment with you. So we are saying as a parent today, before you say a thing, consider the fact that you have a child present. Before you do a thing, consider that you have a child present. Before you make a decision, consider that you have a child present. Think about your child, your 2-month-old. Think about what you want to see, what you want to do with and for that child at 4. Think about the child at 10, at 15, at 20, at 30. Think about all of this, or at least think about what it is that you want to do for and with that child, right? Between now and when the child is 18. We want you to sit down and think about it intentionally. When you arrive at that thing, then we want you to stop and say to yourself, okay, how am I going to be able to achieve this? We want you to create a plan for this. Okay, when you come to that realization, this is what it is that I want to achieve or what I want to see in this child. All right, we want you to create a plan for that. Yes, create a step-by-step plan for this. Okay, create a step-by-step plan that you are going to take your child through the process too. Okay, when you create that plan, okay, you know what you're going to be doing at 1. When the child is 2, when the child is 3, when the child is 10, you have it all planned out. Okay, we're not saying that you're going to be strict. We're not saying that you're going to hold on to this plan and nothing is going to change. What we're saying is create one. As you get along or as you go during the course of the journey, there will be adjustments here and there. There will be changes here and there. The child's input will matter at some point, or the child's input will become important at some point when they are conscious, okay, and they can make those inputs. But by all means, what we're saying is do not wing parenting. Don't go in your parenting without a plan. Please, parents, in 2023, if you have never done this before, create a plan. Just the way you create those plans in your workplace, just the way your those establishments make, they make you, they have plans, and they bring those plans, right, to you as a team, and they help you understand the goals that the establishment has for the year and how the establishment plans, to achieve these goals. Your companies do this, right? The organizations that you work for, they do this, all right? Why then do we think we shouldn't do this in our homes? Our homes are like mini organizations. Your homes are like mini businesses. So yes, you should be as intentional as your boss is intentional with his business. If your boss can be intentional about a simple business, why do we think we shouldn't be intentional about lives? If we can be intentional about raising chickens in a poultry, right? Before for those people who do livestock, you rear livestock and all of that, you realize that before you bring in your livestock, you must have prepared for them, isn't it? Sometimes we have to go for training. Okay, there was a time I was rearing snails, right? There was a time I had a snailry. I know how much training went into it. At some point, I had a consultant that I was working with, right? I had a consultant that I was working with at some point. I went through all of this just to raise snails, just to raise snails. Yet people think that we shouldn't have coaches. People think that we shouldn't have mentors. People think that we shouldn't have people that we consult with when it comes to raising a human being, something that you have never done before. Even if you have 10 children, yes, that first child that is probably 20, you've not raised the child at 21. You've not raised, I don't know, apart, even if you have raised a child that is 21 10 times, hey, you've not raised that particular child. I mean, for instance, I have not raised an Ada, even if I've raised a Kamsi that is 13. I've not raised an Ada. I mean, I've not raised and a dad that is 13 is a different child altogether. We have consultants to raise snails, I mean, to raise dogs and snails and chicks and all of that. Yet we think that parenting is that one that we don't need anyone to tell us about. No, parents. In 2023, if you've not done this before, if you're not taking your parenting seriously, if you have not been intentional about every aspect of your children's life, this is the time that you need to do it. This is the time that you need to put more thoughts into your parenting and how you are raising your children. If you do not have goals for your children, I'm talking about short-term goals, I'm talking about long-term goals, this is the time to create those goals. And then after creating those goals, you must put a plan on ground. You must put a plan on ground to achieve those goals. It's not enough to create those goals. It is important that it's not enough to create those goals. It is important that you have plans that will help you achieve those goals. And as your children come of age, it is important that you share those plans, those goals and the plans with your children. You will share those goals, those plans with your children in a way that your children believe in it. You can't force your children to accept the plans that you have for them. By the time they are infants and they are toddlers, you can create them, okay? You can create this for them. Put a plan on ground and achieve your parenting goals exactly. Okay, by the time your children are infants and toddlers, you can have these things on ground and start working with them. Okay, working with them, working these plans through with them. That's why I talked about the process. A goal, a plan without a process is not complete. There should be a process where you walk through with your children, and as you walk through with your children, okay, they begin to understand. It is those years before they come to their to full consciousness. That's when the understanding will happen. Okay, so by the time you start working, with a plan with your 1-year-old, your 2-year-old, your 4-year-old, by the time they get to 5 and 6, they're beginning to understand certain things. By the time they become conscious or more conscious, by the age of 8 and 9 and 10, okay, they begin to understand, right? They understand and they begin to buy into the plans that you have for them. At this point, your children should now become, they should now have a say. Okay, their input becomes important. And that's the point where your children begin to create goals for themselves. Do you have a 10-year-old that is not creating goals for themselves yet? Do you have a 15-year-old that does not have a goal at the beginning of the year or at whatever point you decide to set those goals or you decide to revisit your goals? No, your children are supposed to set goals for themselves. By the time your children are conscious, they should understand the concept or the principle behind goal setting and planning. Okay, and when they do, you should guide them. Okay, you should guide them and encourage them to start setting goals on their own. I mean, should I start going through the importance of setting goals right now? Okay, this class is usually a short class, okay, and it's just to share tips with you on what you can do with your children. All right, we don't have all the time to begin to go through all of this because this class is not long enough. This is what we do in the mastermind. The mastermind circle is a program that we run for young children and preteens. In the mastermind, we begin the year by sitting with these children and setting goals, having them set their goals. We guide the children to set their own goals. And you know what we do throughout the year with these children? We guide them, we support them, we encourage them, we create a platform for peer mentorship where children come together, children of about the same age range, they come together and then they encourage each other through what they do every day. So you could have that child that doesn't like to read at all, simply because the child is in the mastermind circle and the child can see other children who read and review. Before you know it, your child is encouraged and your child begins to do the same. You will have that child that does not know how to face a crowd, does not know how to, use their voice in a gathering. Okay, and then the child comes into the mastermind, the child is shy, the child doesn't want to talk, the child cannot do a presentation. And within 1 month, 2 months of being in the mastermind, you find that this child is anchoring and the child is actually, doing a presentation of a review, and other children are listening to the child and all of that. So this is what we do with the children in the mastermind. Apart from that, we also do accountability. I told you at the beginning of the year, the children, we work with the children to set their own goals. So what we do during the course of the year and we break this into 3 terms, term 1, term 2, term 3. What we do is we help these children pursue those goals by breaking the goals into daily activities. Okay, and then we follow through with their daily activities. So we realize that when those children do these daily activities, the children become consistent. They are practicing daily. And then we follow them through in a subtle, encouraging, and respectful way. No hounding, no shaming. That's what we do in the mastermind. We shame no child, we hound no child. We just encourage them, we follow them through, we show up when they are not showing up, and we're asking what's going on, are you having any challenge, and in what area are we doing this? We're doing it in every aspect of the children's life. We're talking about their academics, we're talking about their spiritual life, we're talking about their home management, self-management, leadership skills, leisure reading, right? Financial skills, entrepreneurship, and all of that. So we follow these children through. So imagine children that are being followed through, children that are being encouraged in all of these areas daily, children who are making effort in all of these areas daily. You want to tell me that by month 4 or month 6 of the year, this child would not be self-directing. This child will not understand what it means to set goals and follow those goals through? I don't think so. We have testimonials after testimonials of children who have owned their journey and have started living their journey or directing themselves, right, just by being in the mastermind. All right, now, how do you go about this? I'm going to give you about 3 tips on how you can get your children to start setting goals, or how as a parent you can get yourself to start setting goals for your children first. It is the beginning of the year, so it is a good time. Not necessarily because the year changes anything, but because it's a good time. It's a good time. It's at the beginning. So there's something about the beginning of a thing or the beginning of a time, isn't it? So there's something about the beginning that, gives us some sort of a timeline for us to measure our progress. Okay, so the beginning of the year is a good time, right, to set goals. So if you are a parent and you've never set goals before, or you've never set parenting goals, what I want you to do is I want you to take some time this evening or in the next 2 days, today, tomorrow, or next tomorrow. Please don't make it longer, because if you're living longer, then you will not do it. Okay, so today, tomorrow, or next tomorrow, just set out 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes where you can sit down and take each of your children, one at a time. Close your eyes and visualize what it is that you want to see in your child at age 30. Okay, think of your child. I'm going to take my daughter Ada and I'm going to close my eyes. Okay, and I'm going to focus on that child alone. Okay, it's called the power of meditation. Focus on the child alone, okay, and try to create a picture in your head of what you would like to see your child, I mean, the kind of person you would like to see that child be. I did not say the kind of career parents. We're not talking about careers here. We're not talking about whether your child will be a lawyer or a doctor. We're talking about what kind of human being, what kind of person, okay, what kind of person of impact, person, I mean, what kind of person would you want your child to be? It's okay to have an inspiration, okay? It's okay to have an inspiration, to have someone, right, that you would want that child to be like, okay? It's okay. It's all encompassing, okay? So that you don't just go and go, okay, if I say I just want her to be a doctor, I don't know, I don't want, I mean, that's not what we're talking about here, okay? It could be someone, it could be a young person, a 30-year-old person that you see today, and you're like, oh, I would like to see my child grow up to be this kind of person at age 30. All right, close your eyes in a quiet place and visualize, you know, that person that you would want to see your daughter, your son become at that age. Now take a pen and a beautiful jotter and write it down. Okay, take a beautiful jotter and write it down. Now, when you do that, the next thing is begin to think, what am I going to do today? Okay, what plans am I going to put in place for if the child is 4, right now at 4? I mean, what do I have to do at 4, at 5, at 6? Now begin to go through that journey of what it is that you need to do, right, for you to reach that or for you to achieve that thing that you want to see in your child by the time the child is 30. All right, now close your eyes again and think, what can I do in that period of 18 years where most of what is happening in the life of my child is dependent on me? What skills, what virtues, what values do I have to instill in this child during the period of, I mean, from where you are to the period of 18 years, where you have great influence on your child? Put that down. Values, virtues, and things like that. What character do I want to see in my child? I need you to write that down. Okay. When you write that down, then you begin to break it down. Right. Now, this is where we are here to help you. You can reach out to us, okay, at this point. You can reach out to us so that we begin to look together into how you can break down each of these values and each of these virtues, right? And so teach this as a skill. That's what we're doing here. We're skilling up children. All right. Now, how can we break this in a way that you can now teach this to your children every day? We have a course. Is that what I call it? It's a course, or it's something that we put together for parents. Okay, I call it the PEP. It's a personalized education plan. Okay, in the month of February, we're going to open, opportunities for parents who want to create plans for this period that I've talked about. Okay, you can come to us with the plans that you have. You don't know how to break it down. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to go about, what do I teach at what point? What am I supposed to be doing at what point? How do I go? It's like creating a curriculum. So what we do is we create a curriculum for you. We create a curriculum for you and hand that curriculum to you. And you can use that curriculum and you know what you should be doing with your child in each area of their life. At different times. Okay, so with that curriculum, you know what to take and and use that to work with your children per time. All right, so we will put that up very soon. Okay, and we will let you know what it takes. Okay, you would have to do the visualization and decide on what you want to achieve in your child, and then we will help you build a curriculum at least for the first 15 years, or okay, for the period of your child's life, so that you can use that curriculum, right? Yes. Am I going to do your curriculum for 18 years? We will think about it, whether it's for the year, okay, because sometimes you have those long things, you just abandon them. Whether it's for the year or it's for 3 years, we will break that down for you, and then you can go on and begin to use this to work with your children. All right, so that's the other thing that you're going to do. All right, now after you've done this or you have this out of the way, okay, of course you apply it and you begin to work with your child, right? The next thing you would do is that as soon as your children come of age, you will now introduce your plan and your goals and your plans to your children. Okay, you introduce your goals and your plan to your children, and then you begin to walk that journey with them. All right, and then introduce your children to setting goals. When your children set goals, don't leave it at that. Introduce visualization to your children. Visualization is a process where your children can actually shut down every other thing and think of where they are going to. Think of the goals that they have created and think of how they will feel when they achieve these goals in their lives. Okay, you can do this in two ways. Your children should be able to meditate and think of how, where they are going to and how it will make them feel when they achieve it. The other one is vision boarding. The children should be able to create vision board of where they are going so that the vision board is constantly before them and they can use that vision board to remind themselves of the goals that they've set, okay, and where they are going to. Plans, and of course, they're able to create plans to achieve these goals. All right. As I said, this is a short class. It's supposed to be a 30 minutes class. Okay, and what we do in this class is we want to give you tips that you can take and you can run with. If you have watched this video or you're catching the replay, I would like you to go down to the comments and tell me one thing that you are going to take immediately and apply this week in your parenting. Okay, one thing you're going to take today and apply in your parenting immediately, okay, from this class. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. If you're catching a replay, let us know that you are catching a replay of this session. Okay, if you're here, thank you, Facebook users. That's all I see because you didn't give StreamYard access for us to see who is with us. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we do this every Monday at 1. So make plans to be here next week. Okay, make plans to be here next week and invite your friends. We also did not publicize this as much as we should, all right, especially because we've not been doing this for a while. All right, hope to see more of you next week, okay, when we have another interesting topic that we'll be talking about in the Skill Up Show. Thank you very much. My name is Mary Beth Chima, and I do not take it for granted that you allow me to be a part of your parenting journey. I am empowered. I am gingered. I am ready for 2023, and I'm ready to be your co-pilot on your journey in parenting. And hey, when you think about what to do with your preteens, where to help maximize their potential, then think about the mastermind and what we do at PTA. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you in the group. Have a lovely rest of the day.